Hello my friends. Since ancient times, hunting has been an inseparable part of human life. In today's video, join me as I watch hunters hunt coyotes, baboons, wild turkeys and white-tailed deer. Coyotes are currently widespread across the US, appearing in 49 out of 50 states, excluding only Hawaii. This animal has adapted to all kinds of environments, from coniferous forests, deciduous forests, grasslands and deserts to urban and suburban areas. The coyote population in the US is around 4.7 million, with the highest concentration in Texas at 859,000 individuals. Additionally, during this time, coyotes are often easier to spot as their natural camouflage from vegetation is not as dense in the summer.
Camera's grand.
Places like open fields, bush edges, forested areas near rivers and streams, swamps, or agricultural areas near farms where there is abundant livestock and crops are common locations for coyotes. When hunting, hunters often choose high ambush spots for better observation and to avoid revealing their position. Common firearms used for coyote hunting include the .223 Remington, the .22 250 or the Winchester .243. To lure coyotes, electric callers or mouth calls are often used to mimic the sound of injured prey or the howls of other coyotes. Professional hunters only call intermittently to avoid making coyotes suspicious or keeping them away from the area. And places the trap in the center of the hole. Then they sprinkle a thin layer of soil over the trap for camouflage. Lures can be fresh meat or a mixture of rodent and bobcat meat. Many also use coyote or bobcat urine to create a scent trail, luring the target closer to the trap. Once all elements are carefully prepared, the hunter simply waits for the prey to fall into the trap. Next, let's go to Africa to see how hunters there hunt baboons. These are primates with dog-like muscles, powerful jaws, and sharp canine teeth. Baboons are omnivores, eating everything from fruits, seeds, and insects to small animals like rock hyraxes and antelopes. Due to these foraging habits, they frequently intrude into human-inhabited areas in order to steal food, and on the way they injure many animals and destroy infrastructure. Some aggressive baboons have even been known to attack humans. Therefore, they were once considered hardened lungs, located just behind the baboon's front legs. For safety, the ideal hunting distance for baboons is between 100 and 150 feet. Besides firearms, bows and arrows are also an option used by many hunters. Foreign hunters often use a modern compound bow, while indigenous tribes remain loyal to traditional wooden bows. Each method has its advantages, but the commonality is that both require high accuracy and absolute patience. Let's see how hunters dispatch baboons. Next, we will explore the journey of hunting wild turkeys in North America. there are currently around 7 million wild turkeys living here. They have an impressive appearance, with black plumage, interspersed with white bars on their wings and blue stream areas of streams. To track turkeys, hunters must keenly observe their footprints, strut marks, and listen for their characteristic calls. The period from 10 to 2 p.m. is often considered the golden time for hunting, as turkeys are more active and less cautious than when compared to early in the morning.
Let's listen.
Hunters often use box calls or slate to mimic prey sounds, thereby alluring wild turkeys closer and closer. Some also choose to sit in trees for camouflage and better visibility. Depending on state regulations, hunters can use firearms or bows. When aiming, many inexperienced hunters often aim directly for the head. In reality, in the US alone, the white-tailed deer population has reached 36 million. White-tailed deer are hunted for several reasons. They have long been hunted for pure recreational sport and for their meat. In many places, deer populations are so dense that they can pose a threat to crops and ecosystems. So hunting is an effective way to control the population. Of course, hunters must have a hunting license and are only allowed to hunt a certain number during the season. The ideal time to hunt deer is in winter. When the trees lose their leaves, visibility becomes clearer, making it easier for hunters to observe the terrain and identify deer tracks. When looking for signs of white-tailed deer, hunters often pay attention to trails deer frequent, or areas with oak trees producing many acorns, corn, or beans, an attractive food source for the deer. Additionally, dense thickets where deer often rest, especially in the morning. In the forest, many hunters choose to sit in trees to observe from above. Others who prefer more adventure will move slowly through the forest, tracking every sign of white-tailed deer. 2. At a small farm in Texas, the farmer woke up to find over 2,000 pounds of his crops plowed all over the field. The ground was churned up, leaving only a series of deep, winding trenches. The culprits of this destruction were wild boars, one of the 100 most dangerous invasive species in the world. How dangerous are these animals? And what are Americans doing to combat these four-legged destroyers? Let's find out in this video.
They call it young after so destroy.
The destruction at his farm is not uncommon. Wild boars are present in over 35 states, with a population of up to 6 million animals. Each year, these wild boars cause an estimated $2.5 billion in damages in the US. When authorities are concerned that if wild boars contract African swine fever, they will spread it to domestic pigs and devastate the US hog farming industry, currently the third largest pork producer in the world. As you can see, wild boars are highly destructive to agriculture and ecosystems in the US, especially Texas. The US government encourages hunters and farmers to hunt and trap wild pigs to help mitigate the damage caused by this invasive species. Therefore, hunting and trapping wild boars by any method is consistent with the traditional practices and norms. It is estimated that over $100 million is spent annually by the US government trying to reduce wild boar numbers. In the Great Smoky Mountains area alone, authorities have removed over 15,000 victims. They move on to practicing with large clay pigeon launchers. These are small, fast-moving discs that help hunters get used to shooting fast-moving targets like wild boars.
Nice. If you look at that target, your shot is here.
Okay.
But one of the shots were
Drop. Hey, that was.
Once ready, a group of hunters heads into the forest.
It's up. That is.
The first step is to locate the wild boar herd. They often search in low-lying areas such as riverbeds, streams, wetlands, or forest edges. These are places where wild boars typically go to forage and rest. Small trails through bushes, wet footprints, and digging marks on the ground are clues that they have been there. Many hunters also use drones to easily locate the wild boar.
Listen, gentlemen.
Hunters must always determine the wind direction and move against it, as bay dogs are tasked with sniffing out, chasing, and cornering wild boars in a confined area before barking loudly to signal their location to the hunter.
Ready?
Catch dogs, meanwhile, prefer direct attacks, often rushing in to bite weak points like the wild boar's ears or neck, trying to injure or disorientate. Hunters will then take the opportunity to approach and finish off the prey with a knife.
Hold on to
He's just got a thick hide. He's done. He's dead. Go!
Today, many helicopter wild boar hunt. However, not everyone possesses the marksmanship and physical prowess required for wild boar hunting. Many opt for trapping instead. After years of innovation, from rudimentary snare traps, Americans today utilize modern sensor-activated traps to catch wild boar.
Here we go.
Some traps costing up to $75,000.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, we're gonna monitor them for a little bit.
Ideal trap locations should also have shade, be by a water source, and be easily accessible by vehicle for convenient transport of bait, traps, and of course the captured pigs.
The hog sale. Got our little group here.
Once a spot is chosen, they don't immediately set the trap but begin with a baiting phase. During this, they scatter bait like dried and fermented corn, vegetables open to create a sense of security. A bait line is created leading inside to attract as many wild boars into the trap as possible. The observer will watch via camera, ensuring the herd feeds comfortably for at least 3 consecutive nights. This indicates that even the shyest wild boars have become accustomed to the trap. Today, modern traps are equipped with cameras and are activated remotely. The operator simply presses a button and the door drops. When the time is right, the trap door will be triggered. At this point, the wild boar herd realizes they've been tricked and trapped. They frantically ram the trap door, trying to escape. The impact force After successfully trapping wild boars, trappers usually shoot and then dispose of them. After killing wild boars, it's crucial to dispose of them safely. Many hunters have inadvertently contracted brucellosis from contact with wild boar blood, so wearing gloves is mandatory. When hunting in the summer, hunters often bring coolers to preserve the meat.
Get your hands in there.
Some process the wild boar meat on site, but most hunters like to sell the meat to farms or restaurants.